IBF middleweight champion Janibek Alimkhanuly, or Alimkhanuly, however you want to pronounce it, added the WBO title to his collection over the weekend with a 6-round TKO win over Vincenzo Gualtieri. He says he wants to become undisputed, and I commend him for taking this first step towards that. But I suspect this first step will turn out to be the easiest one he'll ever take, because while the other champions aren't great, they're much better than this guy, in my estimation at least. Middleweight is one of the weaker divisions in boxing as far as talent, and this fight was an example of it. Gualtieri was one of the most limited middleweight champions I've seen in many, many years. I mean, we're talking Darren Barker level, and even that might be generous. He won the vacant IBF title just 3 months ago against an even more limited fighter, a Brazilian called Esquiva Falcao. So Alimkhanuly had a very soft touch here with this unification, if we're being honest about it. It was a complete and utter mismatch, which he dominated from start to finish. To put Gualtieri's performance into perspective, the current British middleweight champion, Denzel Bentley, went the distance with Alimkhanuly last year and gave him issues. And it's not like Bentley was running around the ring and being elusive. He was actually pressing the action. And I mention that because, with all due respect, Bentley doesn't exactly have an iron jaw, but Alimkhanuly never even came close to stopping him. And that brings me on to my next point. Being from Kazakhstan, Alimkhanuly is being marketed as the new Gennady Golovkin. Now, for the majority of Golovkin's first middleweight reign, the division was also relatively weak. However, he made the most out of it by blasting through all the mediocre opposition in spectacular fashion. And that's how he managed to gain a following. Now, Alimkhanuly isn't the puncher that Golovkin is. We know that. But as a foreign fighter plying his trade in America, he'd do well to take a leaf out of Triple G's book by being more aggressive against overmatched opponents. This was a unification match for Alimkhanuly against the guy in Gualtieri who's not a puncher, just 7 KOs in 23 fights, who's slower than him, smaller than him, far less accomplished as an amateur, and who's light years below him in terms of skill. He was superior to this guy in literally every single department. So he won't get many better opportunities than this to put on a statement performance in a unification fight by being more aggressive than normal. But he was actually very cautious against Gualtieri. For me, it was an opportunity missed. Now, don't get me wrong, getting the win is the most important thing. I'm just talking from a marketing perspective. This wasn't the type of performance that's going to have fans clamoring to see him again. And more broadly, this wasn't the type of performance that's going to bring the prestige back to the middleweight division. And let's be real, we need a savior at 160 pounds. I suspect Alimkhanuly is good enough to become undisputed champion, but can he be exciting enough to make people care? Let me know what you guys think in the comments.